Good evening, Michael Wilson, 412 Eisenhower Street, Farragut, Tennessee. The last Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting, I raised some questions concerning the lack of Farragut Business Alliance tax filings for 2020 and 2021 on IRS website. I asked if any of the BOMA members, particularly those who sit on the FBA, were aware of any reasons that the IRS 990 forms had not been filed, or if there were any issues the IRS had with the filings. I also asked that the BOMA not auto-renew the $75,000 in town funds provided to the FBA until this issue was resolved. Mr. Krapansky, I believe he's left, but he was here earlier and I talked to him. Mr. Krapansky, the FBA executive director, was at the meeting and offered to share the 2020 and 2021 files with me. I requested later that evening and he promptly provided their files the following day, along with proof of the IRS acceptance. Those documents show that the 2020 and 2021 tax filings were submitted and accepted within the IRS guidelines. I want to thank Mr. Krapansky for the prompt response and helping clear up the issue. I also followed up with each of you that Friday, each of the BOMA members that Friday, via email sharing the response provided by the FBA. To my surprise, I received a response that said, quote, "Would your plans for the next board meeting citizens forum be to let everyone watching the meeting on TV know how your gotcha turned out?" Unquote. This was never intended as a gotcha, but a legitimate question and concern based on public records, or in this case, a lack of IRS data. I'm saddened that a legitimate concern from a resident is categorized as a gotcha moment by someone elected to represent all of us in the town. So why did I ask this question at a BOMA meeting? Why not simply ask the FBA? In the past 2.5 years, there has been a targeted effort to discredit myself and others in social media particularly. I and others have been called liars and worse by town officials and their supporters. Our reputation and character have been attacked on Nextdoor and Facebook for questioning things like who really contacted Mr. Cullum regarding Biddle Farm. A recent town official email sent to Tony Cox on January 16, 2021, provides us some vindication after 2 years. In that email, the official said it was 2 people, Mr. Purvis and Mr. Nixon, that contacted the developer. However, since January 2021 Farragut Press article, it has been repeated over and over and over again that it was only Mr. Purvis. That's been done in social media, probably in some of these meetings, and in public. We have concerns with this issue as both Mr. Purvis and Mr. Nixon were members of the FBA Board of Directors and subject to the Tennessee Sunshine Law. Over 30% of their funding is received from this town. However, in Farragut, asking questions about this get you attacked and discredited in the public sphere. Further, we've seen how these attacks have been coordinated recently. Issues and concerns raised with town officials, the FBA, or local press often get shared with others, including elected officials sitting on this board, and then are used to attack me and others on Nextdoor or Facebook by using half-truths and lack of context. I could provide probably a half a dozen of examples. One example, after I spoke at the FMPC meeting 2 weeks ago, an attack was launched inferring that I and others have supported recent actions before the town, one you just voted on, because we are being compensated by said developers, or there was some form of payback or future job opportunity. The same lady that raised these concerns about Alderman White has done so on social media this week. And I'm tired of it. 2 years later, we're finding out it was 2 people that contacted Bud Cullum. It wasn't 1. Then by someone else on Nextdoor this week. Happens to be the spouse of an elected official in this town. These are falsehoods with no basis in fact. I'm sure many of you are aware of these and know who those people are. For this reason, I am opting to discuss any concerns or issues with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and the Planning Commission in the public sphere, so that there is video evidence to refute the half-truths or lack of context in the attacks on social media in social media. Again, I want to thank Mr. Krapansky for his prompt response in clearing up the issue. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mike Mitchell.
Yeah,
second.
Well, I guess one thing that I can say is whenever you say that something has been done in the sphere of being illegal, as far as violating the Sunshine Law, first off, there has to be an agenda item, okay? It has to be discussed and it has to be voted on. So if there is no votes taken and no discussion made at an FBA meeting, then I think you've got a dead point, okay?
You're right.
Sir, enough.
So, with that said, Mr. Purvis is not with us any longer. As a member of the FBA or a liquor store owner or a banker in his position, discussions that he has with anyone is his business. Just like it's your business or my business if we have discussions with people. It has nothing to do with the Sunshine Law, okay? I hope you do recognize that that's...
I would like,
You
sure,
had
go ahead, Vice Mayor.
your time.
You've had yours, and I'm giving you mine right now.
So, oh, sorry, you done yet?
No.
Okay.
As far as being attacked, we have had a series of FOIAs that has had our staff quite busy supplying it for the gotcha that you mentioned. Okay? Well, there's nothing there, but